On Friday, Luka Doncic complimented Jrue Holiday for being the best defender in the league, and this is nothing new. Over the past year and a half, Holiday has gotten more love from other NBA stars than Asian children get from their parents. Regardless, the matchup between Devin Booker's two fathers lived up to the hype. In the 2 games they met this year, Luka Doncic was 5 for 10 with 12 points and 6 for 12 with 14 points, with Jrue as his main defender. Now these stats look great on paper, but sometimes numbers lie more than your ex does, especially at times when Luka's teammates will look for him and he tells them to go make a play with Holiday on top of him. So today I'm going to break down how Jrue Holiday and the Bucks slowed down Luka, especially his step back jumper. The Dallas Mavericks are your typical NBA 2K team. They have one main ball handler and space the floor with 4 other shooters. They'll run pick and roll with their best player and make a play depending on what the defense gives you. The hardest task for Holiday was navigating these screens because of Luka's playmaking ability, but it was impressive to see how often Holiday could do this, especially when he was off balance. With the time ticking down, Holiday is shading Luka left because he wants to force him into a more congested area. He stays connected with Luka on the first Kleber pick and takes the initial hit, but now with a little more space between Jrue and Luka, there's a rescreen to try and get a step on Jrue, but his ability to immediately navigate around Luka and stay with him forces a really tough fadeaway. Here, Hardaway throws it to Luka, and Holiday reaches but is able to maintain his balance and slide around Hardaway's screen before another rescreen where he's able to step around it as well. On this pick and roll, Holiday is anticipating Luka going right because there's more space to work with. Luka fakes that way, which gets Holiday leading, but he's able to get back in the play. Lopez wanted Holiday to switch onto Kleber, and the lack of communication does lead to an open 3, which is the risk of going over these screens. On a pick and fade, if Holiday goes over the screen, him and the defender guarding the screener need to make a decision. Do they switch to pick and roll or hedge until Holiday gets back on Luka? The Bucks didn't blitz as much as hedge in order to prevent the switch. When they did hedge, they had the defender guarding the screener look like he was switching until Jrue got back and then would recover to their initial assignment. In the playoffs, you saw Curry often hard hedging, meaning that he would stay on Luka's hip before getting back to his man. This would make his path to recovery a lot longer, which would give more time for the screener to take a shot, and that's why you see the Bucks defenders hedging the way they do. And based on what happens throughout the game, this can change how you guard these pick and fades. For example, Luka runs a pick and fade with Kleber, but he airballs a wide open 3 and says, "My bad, this one's on me." You got Hairline Ingles laughing and Luka saying, "You're open." Sheesh, man. I think Kleber lost some of his confidence from this because just a minute later, the Bucks force Luka into the paint and Kleber has a wide open 3 but immediately looks to pass to Hardaway. Same thing here. Lopez and Holiday blitz Luka and Kleber doesn't look at the basket. Whereas in a previous clip from another game, Luka beats Holiday and Lopez is telling Jrue to go cover Kleber because he is still a 3-point shooter and there weren't signs of lacking confidence at that point. So based on how Luka's teammates are performing, this can give the Bucks more leeway to guard Luka more aggressively and leave his teammates open. When they switched to pick and roll, the man that had some surprising success was Brook Lopez. When he had Grayson Allen or Chris Middleton on him, he was comfortable dribbling and sizing them up even when it was late in the shot clock. But with Lopez, his length and underrated agility makes it hard for Luka to get a shot off, and the most important thing here is that he's shading Luka right. The reason that's so important is because Luka tends to take a lot of step backs to his left. By giving him his right hand, he's essentially eliminating the step back option and it's inviting him into the paint. Now sometimes Luka will use the crossover to try and get his matchup to open up before using the step back, but overall I think more teams that are willing to switch onto Luka need to start implementing this strategy. The way Luka creates these step backs also matters. When Holiday went under the screens, it was to protect against any potential switch that Luka was looking for, and this momentary lapse in space gave Luka the opportunity to fire step back 3s. But he only shot 1 for 6 on them with Holiday as his primary defender, and it's because shooting a step back from a pick and roll is not what he typically does. If anyone can help find the numbers for how often Luka's stepbacks are from pick and roll, that would be dope. But just from the film, most of Luka's stepbacks are from isolation plays. The reason this makes a difference is that Luka can take multiple dribbles to size up his opponent in isolation, and now those dribbles are used to find an inch of space to have an angle to shoot due to Holiday's impressive ability to recover quickly. To understand how good Holiday is at closing any sort of advantage, take a look at these two clips. Here, Hardaway sets a nice screen on Holiday, and at this point you think that Luka is going to get a wide open shot, but he continues to pursue, and while Luka is gathering the ball, he realizes Jrue is coming at full speed and tries to get away from him, but he travels. The Mavericks had Hardaway set a screen beyond half court to see if Luka could get ahead of his matchup. At this point he thinks he has an angle, but Holiday strips Luka at full speed, which then allows us to see the freak in the sheets to finish in the hole. And finally, the Luka post-up has been a real weapon for him since he's a lot bigger than most guards, so he can effortlessly back them down, which has led to his iconic "too fucking small" comments, but Holiday is strong enough to absorb the initial hit and stand his ground. When he has a chance, he'll push Luka out just a little bit to the point where he's looking to pass. Overall, Luka averages about 4.5 post-ups a game, but he only posted up Holiday 3 times through 2 games because Jrue is a lot tougher to move. The Mavericks tried posting up Christian Wood against Jrue Holiday multiple times, and despite the length disadvantage, Holiday uses his hands to disrupt Wood's dribble, which makes his life much harder and gives the Bucks more flexibility on the defensive end. So from Jrue's ability to navigate screens, his ability to stay strong in the post, and the Bucks understanding Luka's tendencies, they were able to slow him down, even though his final box score looked nice. I hope you gained more insight on how the Bucks decided to defend Luka. If so, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.